Hello and welcome to Teenagers Untangled, the audio hug for parents going through the teenage years. I'm Rachel Richards, parenting coach, journalist, mother of 2 teenagers and 2 bonus daughters.
Hi there, I'm Susie Asley, mindfulness coach, mindful therapist and musician and mother of 3 teenagers. 2 of them are twins.
Did you have a good sleep last night?
Did I have a good sleep? Yeah, I think so.
Good. I did too. I got a little notification on my app from my watch saying I've got a run. I've got a badge, a sleeper's badge.
Oh.
Because we've done sleep before, haven't we? And we talked about how important it was.
Yeah.
Well, we received a lovely message from Lou who said her teens are 16 and 15. Bedtimes used to be so lovely, right? Remember with the little baths and bubbles, stories, nursery rhymes, cuddles, kisses. Now she gets death stares over a screen and ignored when she says it's bedtime. Yeah. She says, could you please give me the secret script for getting my teens in bed?
We would love to, but...
Are you keeping the secret?
It's
Susie?
so secret
Spill.
that I just can't say it.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways of approaching bedtime.
I don't know. I'm sure there are many of us who can relate to what she said, honestly. And she goes on to say, I'm worried that they're not getting enough quality sleep and too much screen time before bed. I can't reason with them because it's either a blank face or an argument, which I frustratingly return with empty threats or just leave them to it. I listened to the sleep podcast, but I felt it lacked the how-to conversation detail and step-by-step instruction for this delicate operation.
Because we don't know
how.
how.
No, it's not strictly true, but it is. But the thing is, I started thinking about scripts, and I know that there are coaches who sell scripts. Like they say, well, I've got scripts for this, that, and the other, and you can pay for them. So you can search for the scripts if you want. But the truth is, I don't buy scripting, and I don't because we're all different. And
our kids are all different.
Yeah, and if you kind of came out with a script, my kids would be like, Mum, are you all right?
Yeah,
totally. What are you doing?
Totally. But we have ideas, and there's a spectrum of ways to approach it.
Yes.
It's really...
I've given this issue a huge amount of thought, and what I've come up with has completely changed me. Weirdly. Ooh. Not completely, but quite a bit. And hopefully will make the difference to anyone with whom it resonates. More on that in a minute. Firstly, do you have a review?
I do. It's a lovely and it's a short one here. I felt really lonely in my struggles as a parent, and you really changed that. Your show really is that hug I need on my hard days. Today was another one. Oh, thank you so much.
That was Fee. And Fee has written a very long message, which we're going to base an entire episode on.
Right.
And she's been she's really, really interesting and useful. And she's a paediatrician. Amazing. So we'll come back to her on a different episode, but thank you, Fee. Thank you, Fee. Just a quick one from Nelson, BC, Canada. Hi, I've just listened to a couple of your podcasts and I absolutely love them. Thanks, Kristen. That was Kristen who said that. Honestly, I was just preparing for supper when it popped up and it absolutely made me beam. Right. Nuggets, Susie.
So my nugget is my kids are doing revision at the moment, or 2 of them are. They have exams coming up at the end of this week and for the next few weeks. And it's really reminded me of this whole idea of holding space for our kids and being flexible with what that space looks like. So I'm really busy with my work at the moment, which is lovely. But everything always comes at once, doesn't it? And I always put them first. That's just how I work. And I'm able to do that. But this idea that, the space that I hold for them looks really different for the 2 kids. For starters, one of them needs this and one of them needs that to feel balanced and to feel okay. One of them, likes particular meals. One of them likes me to test them on their revision. One of them doesn't want me to go near their revision. And sometimes it's difficult to know what is needed. But just this reminder that holding space is just... I feel it in the house. If the space isn't being held properly, the energy shifts. This isn't actually making sense.
No, it is. It does make sense, actually. And part of it is that it's not equal; it's equitable. The relationship you have, but it's also that if my kids can't cope and study if it doesn't feel like a study environment and that they're being respected for the fact that they're actually going through something a bit troubling. Yeah. And it can be very hard to do that if you've got other kids running around or, the home environment is chaotic. But if you can find a space and you can support them with whatever it is that they need.
Yeah, and be flexible. I think that's the thing, is being flexible with it. So that I have my own needs as well at the moment, but being able to pivot in the moment. Yeah. Okay, right, you need this now. Okay, you need that tomorrow. Brilliant. What can we do?
Yeah.
And not being rigid around it, because my idea of what they need might not match theirs.
Yeah, no, I like that. I really like that. Mine is to do with how our kids don't learn things in a very procedural way. So we think that if we talk to them about something, they'll learn it.
Yeah.
So we did some time ago an episode on empathy and emotional intelligence. That was it. And, when I learn things, I try and make sure my kids understand them as well, and I'll focus on it. But, some goes in and some doesn't. And it was so interesting because one of my kids this weekend said, "You know what, Mummy, I've just realised something." And I said, "Well, what's that?" And she said, "I've realised that when someone tells me something that's painful, it's not actually very helpful for me to then go and tell them the thing that I found painful that was a bit like that." And she said, "I thought that I was showing them that I understood, when I realised that doesn't make them feel better. It makes them feel like it's all about me."
Great awareness.
Unbelievable awareness. But I was also like, I thought I told you this, but okay, that's fine. And actually, I just went, that's amazing. Yeah, it really is good awareness, because a lot of us don't get this and we get it wrong.
Classic
and I said
mistake
to her,
of empathy.
Yes, and I said to her, "Darling, that's amazing." And actually the way to deal with it is when someone tells you something painful, you just pause and you look at them and you say, "Wow, that sounds really hard."
Yeah.
You can just say that. You don't have to give them chapter and verse on anything. You don't have to fix anything. You just show them that you listened.
Yeah. Amazing she's experienced that and aware of it, because it's really common that people do that, and they think that they're sharing the space with the other person, and they're not. They're just making them feel like they're not listening.
Yes. And likewise, if they do that, you can say, "Oh, I can see that you might feel like you're trying to be empathetic, but you're not."
Yeah, you can offer it, can't you? You go, "I had an experience similar. Would you like to hear about it?" No, I want you to listen to me.
Yes, it's all about me. No, absolutely. All right, so back to the topic of sleep and bedtimes and scripts. I asked a lot of our listeners, because I thought, come on, guys, we can all help each other here. And I got some excellent responses. Now, I went on Twitter, I went on Threads, I went on Instagram, Facebook, lots of wonderful help. And I'm not going to name everybody, but thank you, everybody, for your feedback, because it was brilliant. All of the people who have no problem with getting their kids into bed have a definite routine.
Interesting.
And the routine is easy to explain, and it's applied to everyone in the family. So Natalie summed it up best. Natalie's also a fantastic author, by the way. No phones, laptops or TVs in their rooms after 9:30, but equally we as parents have to do the same. Read before bed, everyone asleep by 10:30, latest on a school night. Not had to resort to plan B yet, Wi-Fi turned off as they do it. Lead by example. Also, no phones or TV at dinner, and we all eat together every night. I'm a big believer in systems and routines. Fewer arguments, no surprises.
Lovely. Sounds amazing.
Yes.
It's a really interesting topic, though, and just having a think here, mulling over. Like, there's a whole wide spectrum of how we approach bedtime, isn't there, from a very young age? So there's the people who believe very much in natural consequences. It should be the kids who decide when they're tired. So you teach them when they're tired enough, they will, and they'll experience feeling awful the next day, and they will tweak their own bedtimes. And by the time they get to this age, that is a sort of a natural thing that they just do. And for some kids that works really well. For some kids it doesn't. Social media thrown into the mix makes that more complicated. I think before phones, that was more straightforward, because there was less to be keeping you up. And then at the other end of the spectrum, there's, adults, micromanaging their teenagers, whereas maybe it's, maybe that's too much the other way. And then there's everybody else in between. It's a really interesting topic of how we approach parenting in general. And it kind of shows up in this topic, I think.
Yeah. I mean, coming from the sort of household I came from, I'm an absolute just no to freewheeling, because I had that, and it's horrible. And everyone I've spoken to who has grown up in an environment where they didn't have boundaries, I mentioned it to a woman recently, like I just asked her about her upbringing, and she told me chapter and verse about how she didn't have boundaries. It made her feel incredibly unsafe.
Yes, it can do.
And she had to have therapy, and she's been really unhappy about it ever since. So
it depends how the boundaries are not put into place. So if it's kind of abandonment and not caring, then that has a different spore than if it's self-responsibility. We're gonna discuss this. When do you think you need to go to bed? I'm going to teach you how to notice when you feel tired and put yourself to bed. And for some kids that works really well. I've heard that working really well. And for some kids they're not able to manage it. But that's very different from just abandoning a kid and going, I don't care when you go to bed.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I do think what you're talking about there is much more important when they're teenagers. I think the idea that you enforce a very rigid routine on a teenager can be very difficult, both because they're not really learning personal responsibility and
then they move away from home and they don't know how to manage their own tiredness and their own they will learn. I mean, there's no judgment in this. It's just really different approaches.
Yeah, and I personally, the reason I said that this has actually had a really big impact on me is because I did grow up in a chaotic environment. I've been trying to put structure in ever since. Yeah. And this made me really look at, and we've talked before about sort of habits and things, but it really made me drill down into this whole subject. And there's a best-selling book on this called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And his quote is, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems."
Yes, I love that. I've heard that quote before. It's brilliant.
And routine is actually our friend. And it's really important. And so, for example, that one of the useful bits of research was by Catherine Arlinghouse and Craig Johnson, and it came from the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine. It's called The Importance of Creating Habits and Routine. And they were looking at just people being healthy, having healthy lifestyles and changing to a more healthy lifestyle, and which includes consistent sleep. And they cite the hypothesis that the reason children gain more weight over summer, which they do, is that their days are less structured and children are more prone to engage in what they call obesogenic behaviours. And that they say routine is consistently found to be important for children. Now, what's a child? So, of course, we're talking about teenagers. Yeah. They're a bit older. Everybody knows, well, most people know that, routine. In fact, actually, my first daughter, I did the whole, feed on demand, whatever. I ended up with a really fat baby and no time to myself. And then when the second one came along, I thought, I need some routine. I need to, because I thought that it would work, that she would tell me what she needed. Yeah. But when you've got two of them, you just go, I just can't. And I need my life to have some structure and I need some sleep. So, they go on to say it's not just children. Individuals in good health engage in highly routine, healthy behaviours. And so what are we talking about? Like, what's a habit? What's a routine? What's a ritual? So a habit is something you do automatically, like checking your email first thing in the morning. And it's often connected with a trigger. Yeah. So like we wash our hands when we've been to the loo because we just, you walk past the basin and there's the right. Routines are usually a collection of habits or actions you do on a regular basis, and they bring order to your day. And then rituals are like routines, but the key difference is the attitude that goes into it. So if you take your dogs for a walk because you've got to take your dogs for a walk and you're not you're just kind of doing the quick walk, that's a routine. If you treat it as something where you've got to be present and it's a very special time out in nature, that's a ritual. It becomes a ritual.
So mindful presence, yes, or not autopilot.
Yeah. And like a routine, habit requires little conscious thought, and it can disappear if you don't have the cue. So the habits tend to have a cue, which and you can use habits to stack other habits. So we mentioned this before when I was talking about, like, if you want a New Year's resolution, you want to change your behavior. When you brush your teeth, brushing teeth is the best one because you brush your teeth and you can do wall sits, for example, or while you're brushing, whatever you want to do, you can add it to brushing your teeth. So I always I put the cleanser on, brush my teeth, and then I take the cleanser off. So now I never, ever miss cleaning my face. Yeah. Simple. So these routine habit stacking can be very, very helpful. Now, a study conducted in the UK examined how long it takes for adults to form a healthy routine. How long do you think?
I don't know. Is it 30 days or something, isn't it?
I know. I've heard that. On average, it took 66 days.
66?
Before it became automatic. And physical activity behaviours, which are arguably more complicated than, say, eating or drinking, took 1.5 times longer.
Wow.
Yeah. So
depends on the intention behind, doesn't it?
Depends on the intention, why they wanted.
Averages.
And the time it took to form a habit varied considerably across individuals. Right, so some people took as little.
If you don't want to have a habit, then you're not. Well, I don't take you longer, isn't it?
No, but for some people it took as little as 18 days.
Wow.
Some people it was 254 days.
254. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the good news is that not performing the behaviour one day doesn't have lasting effect on you performing the habit, unless you go, well, I missed it yesterday, so it doesn't matter. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Yes, which can actually happen.
It can actually happen. So, but why do we care about this? It's because when you have a habit, you have to make fewer decisions.
That's really key.
Right? And that's the problem here. And I think the problem with going to bed, because I sat there and thought about this and thought, why are we so terrible at going to bed? Because I'm not good at going to bed.
I'm awful.
And I've even, so this, you'll laugh at this. We'll talk about this tracker in a minute, but I put a habit tracker in my phone. And one of the things is I want to be in bed by 10 so I can read my book for half an hour before I go to sleep. I haven't once got into bed by 10. Lots of reasons for it. But, then it does tell me. It tells me, look, here's, maybe my goal isn't right. But anyway, and I think the thing with going to bed is it's multi-step process, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what's the good thing at the end of it? Well, I go to sleep. And so you have to build things into it that are appealing or make those steps really automatic and simple.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, or take away from the stuff that you actually want to be doing. That's what I do.
Yes.
So, and it stems back from when the kids are little and, I was doing it all on my own and that was my only moment of peace and quiet. Oh, yeah. Thank goodness. They're all asleep.
So make life hell and then you'll go to bed.
Yeah, exactly. This is like a time to be, and then of course I'd go to bed too late and I'd be too tired. And of course now they go to bed later than me. So that's not so relevant. But I still have this idea that there's a bit of peace and quiet at the end of the day. And I'll go and I'll play the piano then. And I'll go and do really lovely creative things because there's this kind of peace in the home.
I like that.
And so then suddenly it's midnight and that's not great.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm exaggerating sometimes. Yes. But, it's kind of reminding myself that I can do those at other times.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be late
Good
at night.
point. And we've all done that. We've fallen into that trap, haven't we?
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because Spagnola, well, there's another study. I can't pronounce all the people, but they talk about how family rituals establish and perpetuate the understanding of what it means to be the member of that group. And actually a few of the people who talked about it were saying, this is what our family does. This is who we are.
Interesting.
So that's a very useful thing to know. And one woman said, what we do is at a specific time, we go upstairs and we do a cleansing ritual together. She does it with her daughter and she says, my daughter loves it.
Wow.
So you could sort of build positive things into the routine because it's about the things to tip us over the edge are either that it's something that's become a habit or it's a pleasing thing.
Yes, yeah. And my daughter's amazing at going to bed. She's way better than I am, like 100 times better than I am. She has learnt that if she doesn't go to bed, she feels awful the next day. So she has done it by natural consequences.
Yeah.
And she'll be the one calling me going, Mom, can you come and put me to bed? Can you come and say goodnight now?
Yeah.
Pretty much every night.
Wow.
And she puts her phone off. She does it all herself. I hear her brushing her teeth early so that she can just lie and chill in bed for a bit. It's amazing. Her twin brother is the exact opposite.
Yeah, I think that's very rare for a teenager. I think it's very
really rare.
Yes.
I mean, she's brilliant, but she has learned that she feels bad if she doesn't, and she needs her sleep. And yeah, it's not gone through to me or her brother, or her other brother at all yet. So she's like the only one in the home. So it's interesting. She has learnt it that way. And my other twin has also recognized the idea that he goes to bed too late, but he's quite disorganized. So for him, structure is challenging. So it is helpful for him to have more structure around it. But we've done the whole, if you want to be in sleep by this time, you need to do this at this time, this time, and this time. But he, his time management is tricky. He's practicing it, he's learning it. And it's usually what throws him and myself off key is stuff we've forgotten. Oh God, you need your pee kit.
Yes.
Right, where's that? Or you need this tomorrow, or have you got that? Or something that the unexpected and the window suddenly goes, oh, now it's late again.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
It's organisation up to the bedtime.
Yeah. And that's the stuff that occupies brain time, which then interrupts routines.
Yes.
And the routines are what really help us.
Yes.
Because so we'll come on to this in a second, but just to mention this blog that I found, this woman, Claire, who absolutely had a mental health crisis. She'd been fine all her life. And her therapist kept talking about, like, what have you done today? What are you doing tomorrow? And she said it was just really annoying because she kept talking about routines and what I was doing. And she said eventually it clicked that actually routines save us. They save us from our mental worrying and problems because we're not having to think all the time.
Yeah. We have to be careful, though. I'm just putting a spanner in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we're all very different. And I do quite a lot of Ayurveda stuff, and we have different types, and we have different ways of being in the world. It doesn't matter which system you use, but some people can quickly get very reliant on structure and routine.
Oh, yes.
And become obsessive
it can be toxic,
with it.
Yes.
And that can quickly switch, and so they panic when they haven't gone to bed at a certain time or something like that. So it goes both ways. We need to not just elevate the routine as being the saviour, because it sometimes it's a burden.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because in the podcast I listened to with Angela Duckworth, she was talking about that, and she said the thing about the routines that really work are that they are regular, but they're flexible.
Yes.
They need to be able to flex because life isn't regular. Yeah. Things constantly will happen that will throw you off balance. Yeah. And
if we have a tendency to control and have anxious thoughts when we're not in control, they can really quickly flip the other way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what I did was I looked. There was there's a website called Zapier. And they did a review of apps for making routines, because I thought, how do I do, I'm really bad at these routines, because I try to put some in place and I've tried to habit stack, and then I still come to the end of the day and I go, oh, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And in Zapier, they mentioned the Streaks app. And so I downloaded this app because I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it for the podcast and see what I think. And he said, trust me, I've done all these different apps. This is the best one. And the reason the Streaks app I think is actually, he's right, and I really like it, is because it is flexible and it's created by you. So what you do is you say, I need to do these things every day. So I need to walk the dogs every day. Yeah. I need to brush my teeth every day. I want to go to bed at this time every day. So and what I've done is, so for the moments when I need to study, I create half an hour segments. So there are 4 of them in one day. And then I have 20 minutes of horrible admin. That's another thing. So there are lots of things that I put in that have to happen pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And when you do them, you press the button and you get the satisfying bing. But it's really interesting, because what happens is it's freed up my brain.
Yes.
It's freed up my brain, because I wake up in the morning and the first thing I can do is look at, rather than thinking, oh, I'm going to go downstairs and get my coffee and now decide what I'm going to do.
Yes, I like that.
I look at my app and go, 5 sun salutations, done.
Yeah.
Easy. Oh, I've done so. Oh, and I can go and brush my teeth. So that's that done. And actually, it gets you on this tick, tick, tick roll. Not at all, because you can pick which ones you're going to do.
Oh, okay.
And then you go, and it frees up so much time, because I've suddenly gone, all these things that I have to do I know I've got to do them every day.
But we procrastinate.
But I procrastinate because my brain is full of all the stuff. Oh, I know I've got stuff to do. Yeah. And then you suddenly go, oh, I actually have quite a lot of time.
That makes a lot of sense, because it's the brain, the mind capacity, isn't it, that making all those decisions, and we don't realise how much energy that takes until we remove it.
Yes. And that's what has happened for me. That's what I mean by revolutionary. It's actually, I hadn't realised how much of my mental capacity was being taken up with thinking, oh, I need to do and I should do. Oh, and I'll put that push that down. Now, my daughter's done something slightly different because she uses Google Documents every day, and she's created a Google document, because that's the kind of person she is, where she's got her routine daily things she has to do. She ticks them as she goes along, and then she just deletes the things for the next day. And then she continues with the other things that are sort of different that day.
So does she write them the night before, or does she do it the day?
She has a routine stuff that's always there. She has a routine stuff that's always there. But as the jobs come in, she just writes them in. Yeah. So because of course she's at school, so she will be set things that she's got to do and tasks, and she'll just put them into that one Google document, and then she can keep coming back to that. And I know, because I work well with to-do lists, but I don't. Like, I find them really sort of, I don't like to be told by myself what I'm supposed to be doing. I find it really annoying.
It's really nice to tick them off, isn't it?
Yes. And so that's the other thing. So if you read Atomic Habits, one of the things he talks about is it needs to have a positive spin to it, because people will tend to do positive things. They don't like to do the negative things. So coming back to this lady who's got her kids who don't want to go to bed because they're on their computers. Yeah. Part of that is that they're stagnant. They're on a computer. I don't know what they're doing on their computers. Are they playing games? Are they So it's shifting from that to doing something different, a different activity that doesn't look appealing. Yeah. So first of all, the discussion needs to be, as a family, we need to sit down and work out what a routine is going to be like for our family.
Yeah, what are the non-negotiables?
What are the non-negotiables?
What can we agree on, and where do we need to nudge the time to a bit earlier, etc.?
Yes. So let's be a family who goes, okay, we've gone a bit off track here. Let's get back to this and be together on this. This is who we are as a family. And then secondly, and I can't tell you how to do that because each family is different, because you have a different rhythm. But really, this is worth doing. Sit and brainstorm it with the kids.
Yeah, you can ask. I've done it with mine. Like, how many hours do you think you need? How many hours do you need to feel fresh in the morning? 55. Okay, we don't have them. How can we compromise with it? Yes. No, but just, and then that also gets them to start to listen. Okay, well, how much sleep do I need? So it's not just me telling them.
Yes,
we don't always do it, but it's really worthwhile.
And you can reinforce it. You talk about when they don't get enough sleep, you can notice it, and you can just say, "You seem really snappy today. You okay? Maybe you didn't get enough sleep." Just remind them. You missed the train. Oh,
happens in our house.
But the ideal is a firm routine, loosely held.
Yeah, I like that.
So So first of all, map it out. What is our family routine ritual? Who are we? And then what you need to actually work out something where it shifts them from A to B without it being painful. So can we, in between, they come off their computers, you then have a nice thing that you do together as a family, or that people do before they have to do the next thing. Yeah. Right? Or is there a night? Yes. Is there something that's enjoyable that's not being on a computer? Yeah. Because otherwise they're not going to want to move. No. And there needs to be a buffer, I think. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. I'm just sitting here wondering what that buffer could be.
Yeah. Well, again, they need to, she can talk to them. Yeah. Like, what are the other things that are rewarding? Yeah. And also the whole problem with the bedtime is what we need to do is make a ritual that's really easy to follow. So I know now when I'm going to go to bed, I just go straight upstairs and I'll put my face, my cleanser on, brush my teeth. And, there's a very specific, and I'll make sure I've got water with me and I'll make sure I've got a very specific thing going on because there's another one that you can use, which is this man mentioned where he was talking about study. And he said, every time you sit down to study, switch your study lamp on. Switch the lamp on, start studying. As soon as you start losing track or you're not studying, switch the lamp off, get up. And he said, if you do that, your brain will start to associate that lamp with concentrating. Yes. So there are ways in which we can build these into our lives. Yeah, it's a Pavlov thing, isn't it? And so there are ways in which we can do this, which will actually make that whole bedtime routine much more simple. Yeah. So I think that's the other thing. It's like...
Yeah. And just the reminder that we can't, they are teenagers as well, as much as I'd love to sometimes just go, right, bedtime now, end, like when they were 5, we that's not really how you can do that, of course, and I'm sure there's lots of people that do, but for me, that doesn't feel like the right thing to be doing. So it is more of a discussion and a negotiation and a holding space for it. Like I often hold up a mirror and I'll go, I see this is what I'm seeing as your parent. You are struggling to get up in the morning. I think you're going to bed too late. I think you need to be in bed by this time. What do you think? And how can I help you get that into place? What can I do so that you are in bed? And usually, if you approach it that way, they go, yeah,
it lands well. Yes.
I feel a bit rubbish, actually. I'm really tired. Yeah, I'm doing this at bedtime. And that is for me, that works better.
I completely agree. And that's a level of respect, because if they feel that you're actually offering them respect and you're not ordering them around. Yeah. I mean, some kids I've got one that's much more sensitive to being told. Yeah. Like, she doesn't like it at all. If she gets any sense that she's been told anything, then she will rebel. Yeah. So it is all about finding a way about helping them help themselves.
Yeah. What can I do to help you be fresher in the morning?
Yes. Yes, but definitely no empty threats. As soon as you threaten something and then you don't follow through with it, then it just ends up being a pointless exercise, and then they'll never do anything. So definitely don't use that. Just use the sitting down, talking it through, and that's as good as it gets.
And also the idea of sometimes of the allowing them to feel tired. Sometimes it can work. It doesn't always, but the idea that actually you might miss the train. You might feel really bad tomorrow because you have chosen to go to bed too late.
Yes.
How do you want that to be different tomorrow? Is it better learning than being given a time rigidly?
Yeah, absolutely. And letting them feel that it is actually a very valuable experience, but having conversations with them. You sort of have to explain to them the mechanics of sleep and why it's so important and all that stuff. But once they understand that, because they're not stupid.
They're not stupid, but they'll keep doing it. So it's a constant nudge and negotiation. It's not like, oh, wow, I've seen the light. Yeah. Not in my house anyway.
No. But the routine is the thing that rescues you. Yeah. Because you can't keep nagging them. You can't be doing this. Is not. It's an unhappy environment. So set up the routine. If you can prompt, and then if it's not working, you go back and you say, so what was it about the routine and it's not quite right? And it's okay if they fail. They try again.
And how can I help you with this rather than you will do this?
Yes.
Yeah. What's the name of the app that you're using?
My app is called Streaks. If the people who own Streaks want to sponsor, I'm joking. It's actually, I really like it. I think it's great, and it's really, really helping me.
I'm gonna have a look.
Like I said, my brain feels much emptier.
That's the bit that really resonates, because I know when I do a meal plan for the week, first world issues. Yeah. When I do that and I have all the ingredients and I know what we're eating, I have so much more headspace at a certain time every day. It's really helpful.
That's one of my things on my Streaks. I actually created one that says plan the meals for the week. And it also another one that says do the grocery shopping
and do it.
And I know that once I've ticked that off, it's done.
It's a bore doing it, but it really gives you more space. Yes. And I'm sure that applies to all the other things you have on there. So that resonates.
Decluttering your brain. Declutter.
Yes.
Exactly, it works. Great. Brilliant. Okay. Well, I think that's it for now. If you found this useful, please share it with somebody else. You can let us know if anything resonated with you at teenagersuntangled@gmail.com, or go to the website, which is www.teenagersuntangled.com. And Susie, where can we reach you apart from all the social media?
Well, I'm mainly on. Well, I do one at a time, really. Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn at the moment. But you can find all of that on my website, which is www.amindful-life.co.uk.
Brilliant. Okay. I hope you have a good sleep tonight.
Thank you. You too.
That's it for now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.